It is a Nintendo Powercast bonus episode. I got a Crawler with me. What's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going? Crawler coming at you.
We are going to be spending some time talking about a potential leak. So get your grain. Listen, you could probably borrow some salt from some of our past episodes and grab a grain out of it and then take it with a grain of salt. But this is pretty interesting. Before we jump into it, we want to say, hey, jump on in to the Discord, n64josh.com/Discord. We would love to chat games with you, play some games with you, and just hang out. Also, pre-orders are still available for the unofficial, unauthorized History of Mario Kart. You can head on over to n64josh.com/Mario Kart guide, where you will also get my guide included with the pre-order, which is half off right now. So for $14.99, you can get yourself both of these ebooks. Okay. I'm looking at Twitter right now. Centro Leaks says giant new leak. I love these leak websites or these leak profiles. You know, they're like giant leak. It says a 4chan leak that correctly predicted everything revealed today claims that new Nintendo Switch models will be released this year along with the second. I don't know. This is not written very well. Maybe they're trying to just squeeze all the words in.
He also said the original poster, I think, said his English is not his first language. So
there we go. Okay. There that makes sense then. So we'll be released along this year with the second part of the game. We will have graphical enhancements for it. And then it says we have verified the leak is real. They're not talking about the leak being there's then a note. With verify, we meant that the leak was actually posted before the presentation.
Because a lot of it is being based off of how accurate he was, quote unquote, for the Pokemon Presents this morning on Pokemon Day.
Yes.
He's claiming his claim to accuracy there is that he's a programmer at a Pokemon outsourcing company. Yes. And that he lists a whole bunch of things that were posted on, I think this is a screenshot from 4chan. So it was posted on Friday. So three days before the direct. And he talked about the hidden treasure of Area Zero as being the name of the DLC. Mm-hmm. That you get clothes as a reward for purchasing the DLC right now, which happened. We're not going to talk about that.
We're not going to talk about that, are we, Colin?
That'll be for the salt on Thursday. He also put down the names of the two legendary Pokemon. I'm not going to attempt to say their names because I don't. Yeah, lots of vowels in there. And he described what they look like: a water dragon and a grass type with like the turtle thing. Like he pretty much described a lot of it. So, or third legendary Pokemon is a large blue turtle. So he had a lot of accuracies when it comes to that. And on the very bottom, they're working on a graphics enhancement patch for the new Nintendo Switch models. He's got multiple models apparently to be released alongside DLC 2, which, according to the Pokemon Presents this morning, DLC Part 1 is fall 2023, Part 2 is holiday 2023. So potentially Black Friday ish time. I mean, we could see a new model. Could that be a Pro? Who knows?
That's the direction. I can't imagine this is Switch 2, right? I can't fathom in the middle of a DLC cycle for their biggest game that they launch unless they're just going to sell another version of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I just don't see it being anything other than what I anticipated they would do with the Switch for a long time, and that's just continue upgrading the tablet. Right? We live in an era where I'm fairly certain a lot of games could just kind of have their sliders adjusted, and we live in an era of what's the term with the dynamic
Dynamic
resolutions.
resolution, upscaling, yeah, all that kind. I mean, checkerboarding. I mean, lots of different things that can be done to visually present it as a better looking, uh, just something to look at on the screen. And if the tablet gets upgraded, then potentially frame rate and render time and load time and other stuff under the hood can be sped up. I think everyone's preference, I think, as we've been talking about the potential for this, has been backwards compatibility moving forward, as to not leave 124 million people behind as they're moving forward. Like they don't want that. They went from an insane install base with the Wii, didn't market it very well, even though it was backwards compatible with the Wii U, and they fell on their face. So I think if it comes down to that, they need to also put out a really strong marketing and educational campaign to educate people going forward that the library that you've built will move forward with you, and they'll find a way to patch in, like what this poster is saying, a graphical upgrade. So let the engine behind the games that you already have be upscaled, and let it run
Wait,
well.
wait. We're talking about Pokemon. A graphical upgrade means it
That
actually
doesn't
doesn't
have
look like
pop
a
in.
PS1 game. Like, let's be real here.
Yeah.
Scarlet and Violet have been a little bit
Well, there was
rough,
an update
right?
today. I downloaded an update today. I haven't logged in to see. Apparently, there's supposed to be a stability, or I don't know if it's stability or just whatever, but there is patches that went live today on Scarlet and Violet.
That's just so the clothes work.
Probably.
They're like stability. Yeah, right. That's just so these new clothes can get put into a shop or whatever the case may be.
It's
But
a
I
it's a
mean,
prompt to buy the DLC. Is what's in the game now?
we've talked about it at length before, right? The new 3DS XL, right? And I mean, it's funny because I was just talking to my nephew the other day, and he's like 10 years old or 11 years old, and he's like, I got him the Wedge a while ago, like, and he's like, it's so frustrating when I go and look at Super Nintendo games and they won't play on my Wedge, and then I look at Minecraft or I look at, you know, it's mainly Minecraft, but I mean, there's
Yeah.
other games too. Xenoblade Chronicles doesn't play um, on unless you have the new model, right? They cannot they will I just can't imagine. They seem to be making forward progress as far as like support, like tiny baby steps, right? With Mario Kart supporting software long term. I mean, we're damn near pushing 10 years with Mario Kart 8 at this point, but that's crazy to think, isn't it?
Mhm.
Like it's almost a 9-year-old game.
Well, and
That's
Mario Kart
wild.
9 is just going to be all of the content from Mario Kart 8 just put onto a platform launcher to be the hub for everything going forward, pretty much.
Yeah, it'll just be all the games remastered.
Yep.
So it's I mean, they've done it before, but I can't imagine them doing that again, right? I can't imagine them saying, "Oh, only certain games are going to run." I don't think the DS, the 3DS had the capabilities that the Switch does now, where we've already seen games like Rocket League and others where you can choose between, you know, higher resolution and lower frames.
Performance or graphics, pretty much.
Yeah, and I don't know why that wouldn't continue to be the case. A handful of updates, you know, and like that, like the tweet or the 4chan thing says, it's like we are working on graphic enhancement patch for the new Nintendo Switch models that will be released alongside DLC 2. So
Well, and I also see this as Like they don't they probably want to approach this in a tactful way, kind of like Xbox did. I don't think Xbox went into the upgrade cycle. They promised a platform to move forward. All the games would work on all the stuff moving forward for perpetuity. Blah blah blah. They were now 2 years in. I think we're getting, if you don't count what the medium or whatever, that was a Series X exclusive in the launch window.
Mhm.
But is it Motorsport coming out is the first one that's only X and S, I think, right? Isn't that the first one that's like not gonna, at least first party developed, that's not going to be available on the one?
Yes and no, because their cloud technology is so good, you'll still be able to access it that way.
Is it going to be on cloud though? That's what I
I
thought.
mean, I'm making an assumption, but I think that's how they're getting around
How they're
it.
skirting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think if Nintendo makes a time commitment to stuff coming out, if they in fact release a pro model or whatever, upgrade the hardware, games that come out for the first year and a half, year and a half, you get kind of a works on old launch model switches from 6 years ago, and eventually they move towards that only works on the new model kind of deal. But you don't get burned right away, like when the new 3DS came out, and then a handful of SNES titles, which I don't understand how the SNES couldn't run on.
It seems like
Whatever kind of
marketing to me.
emulation they were doing, yeah, that was poor. That was poor choices, I think. But I can understand why, for Minecraft and for Xenoblade and other stuff that probably needed the full powerhouse of the new chipset to work.
Hyrule or Fire Emblem Warriors maybe was one, and then Hyrule Warriors ran
That's
like
a lot of pixels on
garbage.
screen.
So
Yeah. So I mean, I give them a timetable so that they have time and supply can be appropriate, and I think I liked what you said on your Twitch stream today, that they phase out OG. OLED. You think OLED could potentially drop $50 and they launch this new model at the 350 price point?
I don't know why they couldn't at this point, because if you, in my mind, the new Switch model will have an OLED screen and a faster processor that's still probably 5 years old, right? It's still probably incredibly cheap tech compared to the PlayStation, compared to the, and I don't see Nintendo caring that much about trying to compete with 8K, the 8K marketing on the PS5 box is just like, who even has an 8K TV
Nobody
right now?
does
Like
yet.
yeah, it's just
But
it's funny, right?
I also see that as they would want to do that anyway, because they don't want to have 4 SKUs out there. I feel like support for the Switch Lite is very minimal. There's a few sitting in store shelves, I think, that you can pick up if you want it, but I feel like they aren't probably manufacturing a ton of those units. The new model that comes out, or the base model, is the new red box from 3 years into this life cycle of the Switch, is what they sell as the base model now.
Right.
It's the one that's baked into the Mario Kart Black Friday bundle, which will probably be a guarantee again this year. Maybe this is the last year they move all those units, but like, I don't feel like they'd be manufacturing a ton of those units. They probably, you have to use up whatever screens they have left, but they bought that whole big lot of OLED screens that they've been using now. Any new model that comes out is the OLED version of the console. And I don't know how many people are going out there buying.
Do you know how they're moving them?
How?
Did you notice that the Splatoon model and the Pokemon model are available in store right now for a second run?
They got reprinted. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have to be careful with that, because it's going to turn into the Animal Crossing model, where it's just sitting on shelves, and
I
they
think
probably
they're okay with it. I think they're okay with it because I mean, think back to the last few times like you've been into like Target or anything. What have you seen, or GameStop or whatever? Do you recall?
Mario Kart Live of maybe a handful of lights, and I've been seeing Switches on the regular in stock. Best Buy doesn't really keep them on shelves; they keep them like behind. Target is where I see it the most, if I see it
Sure.
anywhere.
Yeah,
Walmart, I think,
Target.
has some.
Target. I saw one blue because my Target, as far as I know, they keep them all out on the shelves. Right, they're behind glass,
Mhm.
um, but it was like one blue and red OLED, and then one maybe white one, and then that was it. Best or GameStop, I was in there picking up Octopath and Kirby, and they had both the Splatoon and the the Pokemon plus.
I think I saw the Splatoon one last week when I was in Target, sitting on the shelf.
Yeah, and I saw another Splatoon one somewhere else. So it's I don't, I think the Animal Crossing one was a ploy to get as rid of many of those screens as possible to get
Hmm.
ready for the, to get,
And
and
it worked. It worked. A
it
lot of
did.
people picked that
And
up.
how I don't know, I haven't heard anybody say this, but we're assuming that they just keep going with the regular Switch Lite. But why couldn't they release a Series S and a Series X of the Switch, that one is strictly handheld, like a new version of the Lite, like a Lite Pro, and
Yeah.
then the Switch Pro, and maybe they do away with the OLED and the base model altogether, and they just focus on these two Pro models going forward.
Yeah.
You know,
Make a 250 and a 350 SKU.
uh-huh. I wonder if that ends up being the way they go. But I could also see them like dropping the Switch Lite to 179 and still just pushing that, like,
I mean,
it's having that under 200 price point that helps, because I know firsthand we've got people in the community that are playing strictly on Switch Lite.
yeah, they'll dump the rest of the Switch Lite hardware next time they launch a Pokemon game, and they'll just do another collector's edition and print the plastic that they need to, and just get rid of all the components that way.
It's very possible. It's very possible. So I mean, my opinion, there's no way it's a Switch 2. That it's a new.
It's
I
an
think
iteration.
I think everything's going too well for them to just. I think shareholders would lose their minds at this point if they were like, "Oh, and we're going to release a brand new," unless it's a complete like if they come out of complete left field and they're like, "Yo, here is a home console, 8K, 30 frames a second," like whatever. But
Well, I'm still on board with what we've talked about in the past, like the upgrade the hardware a little bit, but really knock it out of the park with the dock and make the dock the home console, quote unquote, and have it be more powerful to do the 4K, do the high res stuff, but then still having the option to take it with you and it still works, but it's a little.
it seems very doable as far as just the resolution, but I think the frame rates is where they're going to run into issues if the dock is
Yeah,
powering too much of it, right? Because
yeah.
then you're splitting the install
Well,
base.
and they want to stay hush hush about this anyway until they get through the May release of their next iteration.
Well,
Because
and there may be
because
a Zelda Switch, right?
yeah, I mean the images that are online that I mean I have it up on my TikTok if you want to go look at it, but like it's it looks pretty credible. It looks like the inside of a Switch box. It looks like the image on the Joy-Con matches the pins that are in the collector's edition. The color scheme looks I mean it looks like a legit something in a factory somewhere that got out, and that was back in, when was that was back in like December,
I
I feel
believe
like.
so. Yeah,
Yeah,
right around
so
there.
it's been a while, so like they're sitting on this ready to go. We'll have a Zelda Direct here in April, probably beginning of April, I would think, and to get us prepped for the May. What is it? May 9th, May 7th. When is it?
May 7th. Yeah.
Yeah. So
or May 12th. April 7th is a Mario movie. I think it's the 12th.
March, April. It's 7th. It's the Friday. The 12th is
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or no, sorry, May 12th. You're right. I'm looking at April 7th.
That's 7th Mario. April 7th is Mario movie. Yeah.
Which I'm still waiting for. I'm still waiting for Mario movie the game.
Well, if you go to Walmart right now, one of the community members, Ganthit, in the Discord, posted a bunch of the toys that they released, which I'm gonna snag those and throw them up on a blog post and maybe do a video about them too, because I'm gonna go check my Walmart tomorrow. I was trying to check the app and I was like, I found the Bowser and that was it, and it was like still needed to be shipped. So I don't know if they're
probably
set up
breaking
early
Street
or
Date
not,
or something like that, or
could be, but it's Mario and a bunch of carts. So I'm just like, are you kidding? I don't have room. I have no more room. I have no room for this. So, but yeah. So I mean, it seems like, if you follow the path of the 3DS, right? You had the original model, then you had the XLs, then the 2DS came out. And I might have my timing off with that. The Wedge may have been before the XLs. I don't remember exactly. And then you have the new 3DS. And then the new 2DS.
Yep.
Right? So
and then you slap a fancy coating on it and you move a whole bunch of them with the Hylian shield.
Yep, exactly. And so
because the Wedge was unappealing for the Zelda A Link Between Worlds because it was just the school bus yellow, right? Or was it green?
No, it's green. I have it's Ocarina of Time. And
that's right.
It's green. The yellow one is Mario Maker.
And they had I think they had a new. Did they have a new 3DS before that as well? That was the gold one with the Triforce on it. I think that's a desirable one.
I think it's a XL.
Okay, but I mean, and there's tons of iterations of the
mm-hmm.
Like that's just what has us thinking that they finally embraced it with the Switch, but it could get out of hand. They had the Metroid, they had the Super Nintendo version. I think they had an NES version of the 3DS. They had a bunch.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's definitely a lot of them. So, the Animal Crossing one was very popular, right? I'm looking at the box for that one right now.
Yep.
Like that was a popular. So it's not, and I mean, we're seeing some games struggle, right? And it's interesting that it's like will be released along with this DLC. But is Tears of the Kingdom going to need this, or are they holding enough out of Tears of the Kingdom that when they launch DLC for it will then
get an optimization update
of this, like, because I mean, we've heard the rumblings online. IGN is saying that like, oh, Nintendo's not at E3 because they're prepping for a new launch. I think I have an article on my site about it, right? It's just it can't be new though. It's gotta be just a pro model. And they'll make the mistake. They'll call it the new Switch, and you'll be like, "What are you doing? It's the Wii U all over again!" Like, stop that. Like,
is Nintendo planning on going to PAX West?
They did last year, and they're going to PAX East.
But PAX East, they have something to promote because that's pre Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom, correct.
So who knows if they'll go to PAX Prime then?
I mean, what did they have last year? It was in August, so they would have had Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and what was our Bayonetta? maybe
Yeah.
maybe Fire Emblem, maybe. So, it
E3 is
yeah.
expensive.
Well, and their official announcement on it was like, we're not done with the ESA or with E3, but
Yeah,
at the
they just
same
did.
time, if they're launching,
They wouldn't have the tent pole because they're a month out from releasing Tears of the Kingdom. They don't need to sell that to anybody. Almost everybody's going to buy that anyway. So,
and if they have a new system, they're not going to announce it that early. It's going to be a
no,
2 month ahead of
because
time
it would
max.
cannibalize stuff. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, they know better. So, it's just got to be it's just got to be along the lines of the new 3DS, where it's an upgraded model. And I'm going through these tweets, right? This is a somebody I met at E3, Just Cliff from the One Up Crew podcast. It says this could have some validity. Might make sense why this year is rumored to be lighter than most, like we were just saying. Nintendo is working on next gen. I don't think so. That we do know. I personally believe that the next system will still have the Switch branding. This couldn't be uh this couldn't be a new Pokemon model. I don't think so. I don't think it's just a Pokemon model myself, you know. But then some of the tweets, so we have to buy a whole new Switch to experience graphical enhancements, or would this apply to old models? And then somebody else is like praying for an entirely new console. Like I just have a hard time believing that'll be the case. Someone else, Paulatina says, is it just graphical patch for Pokemon or the new theme Switch? No Switch Pro this time. Forget about it. So, it's interesting. Most of these things have been confirmed, but a new Switch model this late in this life cycle seems a bit odd to me. Is from Mystic X, or could the idea be to make the Switch concept last 2 console generations? Well,
when did Xbox Slim? How near the end of the life cycle of 360 did Slim come out? Because that was like the launch of Kinect, and was it like maybe 2 years?
No, it was longer than that because there was Xbox Elite. Do you remember? You remember the Xbox Elite that had an HDMI cable for the first time? It was black. It was the same exact shape as the 360, but it was the black model of the 360, the first black
Well, yeah, that's
model.
what I'm talking. The Xbox 360 Slim is the black model. No,
Mm-mm. The Elite was the black model that looked just like the OG white ones. And it was the big deal was that it had the HDMI cable for the first time. Because I remember having to have it because it was black.
we were using
component cables back then.
The 5 component cables.
Uh-huh. And so there was the OG models, then the Elite, and then the regular ones started getting the HDMI also, the arcades and whatnot. And then the Slim came out when the Kinect came out, like probably another year and a half to 2 years after that. And then a fourth model came out that had a different look, more like an Xbox One almost. That was the final, and that one had a button instead of the touch sensor, because I guess that was an expensive, that slim model of the 360, that button was kind of expensive to use or something along those lines. So yeah, I mean
that one, I'm looking at a image of that one on Amazon, and I don't even remember seeing that in stores. That must have come out really close to the end of the life cycle.
The fourth model.
Yeah.
It was not. It was
because
like,
I bought a ton of 360s because I had red rings and
disc trays
that would randomly eject, and and that was
great.
easy to swap out a console because you could just take the hard drive off and pop it onto a new one.
Right. But, yeah. So it's this. The other thing to think about is they've said 10 years all along. That they wanted this to go 10 years. I don't know why they would stop now. They launch a newer model, they get all the hardcore to re-up on it, they've got all these Game Boy games, all these 64 games, all the NES, all the SNES, all the Sega Genesis. Like they're really starting to like get the ball rolling, it seems to me, with a lot of this stuff. And I think
And
Tears of the Kingdom is gonna it's gonna be huge. It's
yeah,
gonna be massive.
and everything first party coming out is running pretty well. I mean, Pokemon Company is not necessarily they're not first party. They're second party kind of in some ways. But
Right.
that was a rush production. It I think reflected poorly on Nintendo being the publisher, because everything else that they put out, look at Prime. It is a rebuilt
That's
floor to
retro though.
ceiling.
They don't count.
but look at, like, going back a little bit, look at the water. Like I feel like this is the go-to like what the Switch can do. The water in Paper Mario is gorgeous.
Yep.
I mean, Engage is okay. I think it's a small postage stamp kind of size of what you're seeing, because it kind of blurs the background and everything else. But the artwork and the graphical fidelity of it all, with what you're looking at on screen, does really well. I think it has the advantage of being a point-to-point arena-based kind of thing that you're dealing with, and top-down kind of shots for the most part. But Xenoblade, I think, has run really well, and we have more to come from first party. I wish Nintendo would kind of give little tips and tricks for third party to be able to optimize as well as they do, as well as Nintendo can on their
they
console.
did the Ubi, right? I mean, Sparks of Hope and Mario plus Rabbids, beautiful games. I would say Starlink ran and looked pretty decent. Going from ground to space was, I was like, this is the Switch. This is impressive, you know, like. So I think, but yeah, when you look at look at Metroid Dread. I know it's only a side scroller, but still, like, gorgeous, right? Like, and I mean, I play Mario Kart all the time. That game still blows me away. The 60 frames a second, like, it just looks, and that goes all the way back to the Wii U, you know.
And graphics is one thing. Online is a completely different thing. That's something else they have to tackle.
The net code for sure. I mean, I'm looking at Twitter right now. I don't even know. I'll pull this up real quick. Smash is trending, so I'm not sure. Oh, I mean, there's just a bunch of stuff about banning Steve. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I saw yeah, that was, I think, one TO, I think, in the New York area, I think, was the first one to kind of say, we're gonna ban Steve. They're hoping to kind of, I think, get a wider ban on that. And I something about you're not allowed to use him unless you can prove that you can win with a different character or something like that. I don't know. I saw a few different things going around on Twitter the other day, but who knows?
Well, and it looks like there's also some esports stuff that, like, there's some layoffs and like, let's see. Genesis tweeted, our doors would have been closed long ago if it weren't for the amazing people at BTS supporting us over the years. They set the bar for what an event in production should be, and we were lucky to have them and part of our community. So it looks like BTS news coupled with the end of the year is last year. So I don't know. I can't see what's happening. Vicky Kitty says the guard layoffs, BTS shutting down, majority of orgs suffering in esports in general. I haven't really doom scrolled my feed in a while, but this past week or so has been rough with the recent news. Smash may be hit with another drawback, but the community always prevails. So yeah, I mean,
there's not money in Smash. That's the unfortunate part.
And it's really unfortunate.
We're gonna have to do an episode of Smash Bros. Cast, because there's a lot to talk about. The amount of money Capcom is putting into Street Fighter
Exactly. Street Fighter
and
6, like $1 million
yeah.
pool and
Hmm.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. Before we get too far off topic, Switch Pro leaks. We want to hear from you guys. Jump in the Discord. If you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comments. If you see
Yeah.
some clips of this, like
Give us stuff to
on
chew on,
TikTok,
because
or
we'll talk about it on Thursday when we do the
yeah,
show.
we'll
So
we'll dig in deeper with Johnny and Cheesy, but it seemed too hot not to jump in and talk about tonight. So let us know your thoughts. I believe even on the podcast, if you're on Anchor, I think there's a spot. It might be on any of the podcast players that you can, I'll post the question. What do you think about this potential leak, and what do you want to see? We want to hear from you guys. So thanks so much for listening. We appreciate all of you, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye now.